Happy Mother's Day. This morning, the music for the Prelude, Offertory, and Postlude are written by Beethoven. They're the Beethoven German dances that were originally for the orchestra and then arranged for the piano. And I'm playing them because they were one of my mother's favorites. She came from a musical family, and she had a great alto voice. And from the date on the music, it appears I was learning these when I was in 8th grade. And my mother would often come in when I was practicing and sit quietly in the living room. And I think these pieces made her happy. So in memory of her, the German dances, the first one is in G major.
And good morning to everyone. Happy Mother's Day for those who do celebrate it. Welcome to the Treasure Coast Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Stuart, Florida. Today is May 9th, 2021. My name is Deb Harris, and I will be your worship associate today. We're happy to have Rev Bob MacDonald in our pulpit today, and we thank Bruce Ruby, our music director, even from afar, and our Zoom host, Corina Pelloni, and our backup worship associate, Janet Grote. So we thank everyone for their help with today's service. We're going to mute you now to avoid any background noise, and please remain muted for now. We are a welcoming congregation. We welcome people of all gender identities, races, ages, and backgrounds. We're glad you're here with us. We're holding our Zoom services at 11 o'clock every Sunday. To be put on our email list or to find out more about us, please go to our website at tcuuc.org. You'll find announcements there in our Friday online newsletter and a midweek follow-up from with information about the sermon. And now Bob will light our chalice. Our chalice lighting words today are from Ben Sewell. Out of the darkness, light. Out of the light, warmth. Out of the warmth, joy. Out of the joy, togetherness. May this flame hold us for the time we are here with one another. As someone who reads several newspapers every day and scrolls through the news that pops up on my phone too often during the day, and I watch too much television news at night, I know that it's really easy to feel overwhelmed by all the events, state, national, and international. You might feel this way too. To balance out that constant barrage of bad news, I find it's very comforting to go back to our UU principles. They really keep us focused in a positive way. The one that I found especially helpful lately is the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Our opening words today echo that principle. They're from the Gray Hymnal, number 434. May we be reminded here of our highest aspirations and inspired to bring our gifts of love and service to the altar of humanity. May we know again that we're not isolated beings, but connected in mystery and miracle to the universe, to this community, and to each other. And now Bruce will play and sing hymn 317, We Are Not Our Own. Thank you. And now, let us recite our affirmation, speaking the first verse and singing the second. Although you're muted, please join in joyfully. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
And by every
let us share our joys and sorrows. I will move a stone in our symbolic river to mark each joy or sorrow. Please keep your joys or sorrows brief. Raise your hand to share, and Corina will unmute you to speak.
The reading is entitled, "And Then," the author Judy Chicago, from our hymnal. And then all that has divided us will merge, and then compassion will be wedded to power. And then softness will come to a world that is harsh and unkind. And then men and women will be gentle. And then both women and men will be strong. And then no person will be subject to another's will. And then all will be rich and free and varied. And then the greed of some will give way to the needs of many. And then all will share equally in the earth's abundance. And then all will care for the sick and the weak and the old. And then all will nourish the young. And then all will cherish life's creatures. And then all will live in harmony with each other and the earth. And then everywhere will be called Eden once again. Judy Chicago. And now moments of silence.
The offertory is a standard church practice to invite members of the congregation and friends to reflect on their love and support of the church and the possibility of growing in our giving. After this pandemic year, when we haven't met in person, our needs are especially great. We take this moment to remember that TCUUC needs all of us to grow in our giving. Information for mailing a check or contributing online is printed in the virtual bulletin. And Bruce will play the offertory while you all grab your checkbooks.
Gratefully, we have received. Gratefully, we give back. I thought my sermon this morning could be on the topic, the risks of getting out of bed. Because I lay awake last night enumerating, not sheep, but all the places I did not want that D thing to land. And a lot of places came to mind, and I really don't want it landing in the ocean, but I guess we're glad it did compared to a lot of other places. But there are things in the ocean. It's not like the ocean is unoccupied space and no harm can come to anything there. The risks of getting out of bed. How we deal with the risks, I think, leads into our video now. It's an old favorite called "It Is Well With My Soul." I love this hymn. I don't know exactly all that it means, but now hear this. I guess the meaning of that is whatever we feel may be landing on us, there's a place we can cultivate where we can be well and at peace. Who is my family? My theme today is a tradition from many denominations, the family. What can one say new, inspiring, even interesting about family life today? The challenges of family life without COVID, before COVID, the challenges seemed greater than we ever imagined. When we started visiting our children, raising their children, we heard about limits on screen time. Those limits didn't last even the length of our visit. And we learned the dangers of commenting on behaviors, dangerous if we wanted to be invited back. A friend mentioned this week something many of us have said or thought. Relationships with our grandchildren seem a lot easier than relationships with our adult children. Family of origin, home, is where we learn who we are. And sometimes it is where we learn who we don't want to be. It can seem like a place of comparisons and ratings, maybe unintended, but comparisons and ratings nevertheless. I was told I was the spitting image of my biological father, whom I didn't know because of alcoholism. I did know I didn't want to be the spitting image. Comparisons. I've been told by someone close that all my foibles and shortcomings, hopefully we're talking a short list here, but all my foibles and shortcomings can be explained by my place in the birth order. Number 2 son. At my grandmother's funeral in 1970, which it was my honor to conduct, just as I'm about to start, a cousin of my mother comes up to me, "Reverend Bob, I hear you have 2 daughters." "Yes." And then I hear, "But your brother has a son." What would you guess came to my young clergy mind at that moment? The law of primogeniture, that ancient law of the first son inheriting all, that, or homicide? I love a story about Jesus' family of origin. It's in chapter 3 of the Gospel of Mark, the earliest gospel on which the others are based. Jesus is on the road doing his teaching thing. And then this. Jesus' mother and brothers came and stood outside. Then they sent someone with a message for him to come out to them. The crowd that was sitting around Jesus told him, "Your mother and your brothers and sisters are outside and want to see you." Jesus asked, "Who is my mother and who are my brothers?" Then he looked at the people sitting around him and said, "Here are my mother and my brothers. Anyone who obeys God is my brother or sister or mother." And the footnote says, Jesus' mother is Mary. Jesus' family came to try to get him under control because they thought he was crazy. What about the adoring Holy Family? All that beautiful Renaissance art of adoration. Bart Ehrman, the transcripts transmission scholar at UNC Chapel Hill, has a few tests or grids for weighing the likely historicity or factuality of a word or deed ringing true, a word or deed attributed to Jesus. The one that applies here, he calls the criterion of dissimilarity. If a word or deed doesn't fit with the traditional storyline, it is more likely to have happened because it simply could have been omitted. Why make it up if it goes against the story of the Savior you are broadcasting? So Jesus being beckoned home by a family worried about his sanity, yes, that meets that test. But it seems so normal. Family is where we learn our roots and our wings, where we choose where life will take us. The family can see our chosen path, vocation, or lover as one big disconnect and may tell us not to go there. We choose what we choose. One of my learnings in the self-help aisles was we are going to be more like our family of origin as we age, more like them than we ever wanted to be, or so we thought. But it turns out to be a good thing because they did the best they could, and we are increasingly grateful for them. A new challenge to family life today, especially in our extended families, political poisoning like never before. Not political differences, let's share our different points of view and maybe learn from each other, but definitely respect each other with those differences. No, today, families are torn by demonizing differences. Like the rest of our society, how could it be different? I try to keep up with national and international news because I care about what kind of country we are living in and what kind of world we are living in. And I like to be able to exchange views, knowing mine are pretty limited, so I can learn from differences in points of view. But today, family, it seems, can only talk safely about blood, DNA connections, what we got from home of origin. Politics and the world too quickly become blood sport. On our last trip to Hamburg, Germany, I went to the market to get things to have in our room. In the checkout line, the man behind me asked me something about what he was buying. I had to say, sorry, English. To his family, he gestures that I am English. So I add, no, American. So he adds, yeah, America first. I say, 9, everybody first. So he and the line behind sounded a chorus of yeah with applause. A little international moment at Germany's Publix. So just as Jesus went out to find another kind of family, like-minded or kindred spirits, we too find people who care about the kind of town, country, and world we want to live in and leave behind. I happened upon biographical details this week about 2 people who are heroes, giants, icons to me. And I learned things about them I hope I can use once I get beyond the envy. Maybe you can use. The icons are Hank Aaron and Fred Rogers, mentioned here before. In one of his last interviews, Aaron was asked the secret to his success. You remember breaking the great Babe Ruth home run record in 1974 and setting many more. The secret was discipline. He maintained the same waistline all his adult life. Similarly with Fred Rogers, the neighbor we all wish we had and would like to be. Rogers had an ironclad discipline about all of his life. And he too was proud that he was able to maintain his weight at 143. 143. The point of heroes and icons is not to discourage us because of their bountiful discipline. The discipline we might lack, 143 pounds. I think that was in my preteen years. The point is to encourage us in the discipline we have, because discipline builds on itself. If that little book, The Meaning of Life, I got for $5 at the Hallmark store is right or close, telling me the meaning of life is to find what you love to do and do it, then we all have discipline in us to pursue what has been and continues to be the meaning of our lives. The personal discipline of Aaron and Rogers is exemplary because a good part of the meaning they found for themselves was the joy in encouraging others. How do we pursue a family, a circle of like-minded souls who care about the world as we do? Without the great temptation today to stay in a bubble or echo chamber. How do we even get differing opinions to weigh against our own? In our current events discussion, Friday, 11 a.m. Zoom, Yes, this is a little time plug here for what happens on Friday that you could join. The topic next Friday is the League of Women Voters. We get encouragement in our little Zoom circle to switch the channel to a source we don't regularly listen to. But we want the switch to be to a differing opinion, not to misinformation, and not to opinion masking as information. I am troubled by the wall or potential wall with family members who disagree with me mightily. I welcome the disagreement, but not the wall. My mother, before she died at 95 a few years ago, asked me, the only one who moved out of state, asked me to keep in touch with the family of origin, meaning my sisters and my late brother's family. While I wasn't good at it before, once the political poison set in, I knew I had to use birthdays, anniversaries, and holidays to keep in touch and to do the political eggshell walk. You can mention, I won't. But the challenge of our time is to keep our commitments to a better world and be willing to hear, actually insist on hearing dissonant voices, people who feel they have been dissed or left out. We don't want that, not if we are going to be community, even especially beloved community, as we have been encouraged to be by Dr. King and by the UUA, by the chorus of angels who go on beckoning us, bridges, not walls, bridges, not walls. We must encourage each other to be the family of like-minded, kindred spirits who can tolerate, even welcome, differences of opinion and experience. You know, maybe practicing beloved community and church can help us on a tougher front, our own extended families. Our closing hymn is 324. It's difficult to sing. You might just want to savor the words. Bruce will sing. Sorry, Bruce. Thank you, Bruce. I'll extinguish the chalice after these closing words. Today we honor our beginnings, the people who cradled us until we could stand and walk. And we celebrate our journeys, especially the people who have become our larger family and support.